Right, this season has been by far the worst for female footballers suffering from ACL injuries.
ACL injuries, the epidemic that's currently plaguing women's football. Despite the growing popularity of women's football, the rate of ACL injuries among female players remains disproportionately high compared to their male counterparts, with women being up to 8 times more likely to tear their ACL than men. This documentary will shed light on the potential reasons behind this disparity and explore the specific challenges and risks faced by female athletes in this sport. Through in-depth interviews with a medical professional and an athlete, this documentary will uncover the physiological, biomechanical and societal factors that may contribute to the higher incidence of ACL injuries in women's football, as well as exploring the physical and mental battle that individuals go through when they obtain this injury. My name is Lyla and I have loved watching and playing football for as long as I can remember. I myself have had my fair share of injuries throughout my time in playing, but the worst one by far has got to be when I injured my knee. Recovering from this injury was both mentally and physically challenging for me. When I instantly injured my knee, I feared the worst and thought that I'd torn my ACL. Thankfully, I hadn't, but I knew that I wasn't alone, playing in fear of obtaining an ACL injury. So I asked hundreds of female footballers and 97% of them said that they subconsciously fear tearing their ACL whilst playing football. Since finding out this shocking statistic, I knew that something needed to be done. Come with me on my journey to tackle the truth on ACL injuries in women's football. I wanted to get a personal insight as to what it's like to have experienced an ACL injury, so I headed to Sutton Coldfield Town Football Club to speak with first team player Caitlin Hopwood.
I tore it in August last year. I was playing a game and I went to kick the ball, and as I landed, my kneecap dislocated and it tore and it just went. It was quite quick for me because I went straight to the hospital, got a knee brace, and they got me very quickly in for an MRI. So it was all done quickly and I had to wait a while for the results, but not too long. It's hard because you watch everybody else doing what you love to do and it can get frustrating. I think probably to start with I'll be a bit more cautious, but hopefully as I play I'll get more confident and hopefully it won't be in my head.
I spoke with Sutton Town's club physiotherapist Natalia Birch to find out about Caitlin's journey and her current action plan.
So the whole process to get it sorted, we sent her for a scan. She had choices of rehabbing it completely back, or there was options of surgery, but we had a chat about our options and we went for the surgery route because it will be better long term, knowing it's completely healed, it's back as one. Before op, we did a lot of strengthening work anyway. It's proven that doing a lot of strengthening work pre-op helps speed up their recovery time. So once obviously post-op and everything, a few weeks later she was up and walking, no crutches or anything like that, no aid. So yeah, we've just been strengthening work at the moment, and we're just putting her into her change of direction phase. It's a massive step for female footballers, just because obviously being able to run and that freedom of starting the change of direction, it means that they are one step closer to coming back on the pitch.
To find out more about the ACL and the process of testing for the injury, I spoke to Natalie Andrews.
My name's Natalie Andrews. I'm a chartered physiotherapist. I specialise in musculoskeletal physiotherapy and I've been a clinician for 20 plus years. So an ACL is your anterior cruciate ligament. It's part of the stabilising structures of your knee. It sits sort of right in the centre of the knee, forms across with your PCL, but your ACL goes from the back of your femur, which is the top bone at the top of your leg, and to the front of your tibia, which is the lower leg bone. There's lots of research out there as to why females can be more at risk of injury than men. The classic is sort of the changes that our menstruation can have on our bodies from ligament laxity. There's not a huge amount of research out there, but there is a little bit to suggest that that does play a part. There's things such as biomechanics, so we aren't the same as men, we're not built the same. So from our skeletal structure, but also our muscle mass, that is very different. Your knee is quite an unstable joint and relies heavily on the ligaments and muscles around that area to support the knee. So it's really important that muscle mass and strength and conditioning becomes a huge part of any prehab for ACL or rehab for ACL injuries. There's also things such as footwear. So footwear isn't specifically designed for females as such, so that can play a part. So there's a few things that you can do to test for an ACL injury. Typically in clinic we would do either an anterior draw test or a Lachman test. Lachman's generally is a little bit more specific, so we tend to favour that one. So a Lachman's test to assess whether your patient has injured their ACL. You would have their knee slightly flexed to about 20 degrees. You'd fix the femur with one hand. With your other hand you just come on top of the tibia, and we just do an anterior pull on that lower hand, so we're sort of trying to lift that bone forward. What we're looking for is sort of the movement that we've got. If there was an injured ACL, we'd have a little bit of translation of that bone forward. You're looking for what we call a soft end feel. At the moment, there's no movement there on his ACL, so that's really good. And that's what we call a hard end feel. So we can say that her ACL is intact. You can potentially have two different pathways when it comes to an ACL injury. You can either have an ACL repair or an ACL reconstruction. So an ACL repair is where the surgeon will go in and repair the ligament and anchor it to the femur and the tibia. Or if you have a reconstruction, what they will do is they will take a graft from one of your tendons, classically a hamstring tendon, and they'll sort of recreate you a new ACL to provide that stability. If we know you're going for ACL surgery, whether it be repair or reconstruction, we do a lot of prehab now. So that's all about getting you as fit as we possibly can do before your surgery, so the post-op rehab is a little easier.
With nearly 200 elite women's players injuring their ACL in the last 18 months, and with the numbers continuing to rise, it's relieving to know that on the 30th of April, Project ACL was launched. It is a 3-year project that has been launched to investigate the concerning number of ACL injuries in women's football. Players Union, FIFPro, have joined forces with the Professional Footballers Association, Nike, and Leeds Beckett University to launch Project ACL with the view of increasing player availability by reducing ACL injuries. They will collaborate to research ACL injury factors, develop prevention strategies, and enhance player health performance.
This is a huge step forward for the women's game, as females are finally at the focus of a major research project. The truth is finally being tackled with this project, which will hopefully put an end to the epidemic that's plagued women's football for too long.